Hello everyone, welcome to Venom Guidance. This is Dr. Anuja Sharma and in this video we'll talk about affinity chromatography. So let's get started.
But before we move forward in this video, let's discuss your strategy for CSIR NET 2021 exam. Yes, you heard it right, 2021. I know that the 2020 NET exam just got over and you all must be very relaxed now. But it's in the past and it's time to start thinking about the future. Unacademy is going to start its CSIR NET batches in December. These batches will cover the entire length courses for CSIR NET Life Science 2021, which means the entire life science syllabus for CSIR NET will be taught in these batches. The courses will be taught in both Hindi and English language and the notes will be provided in English. Now these courses will be taught by India's top educators, including CSIR NET toppers, mentors and specialists. These courses will include doubt solving classes, so you'll be able to clarify all your doubts after the class. Now, I believe that you'll definitely benefit from these classes and move one step closer to your target. It's a great opportunity for students who are planning to attend CSIR exam for the first time and an amazing revision strategy for all students. So what are you waiting for? Click on the link in the description box and register now. Again, the link is in the description box. Click it, share it, and stay tuned for more updates. So let's get into the video now.
Now, affinity chromatography is a type of chromatography which takes advantage of specific binding interactions between molecules. For example, a ligand and your protein of interest. Now, affinity chromatography is a liquid-solid chromatography, which means that the mobile phase is liquid and the stationary phase is solid. Now, stationary phase in case of affinity chromatography could be a matrix of agarose or polyacrylamide. Now these matrix are basically present in the form of beads to which your ligand is immobilized or covalently bound. Now examples of these interactions which are exploited in affinity chromatography are antigen-antibody interaction, hormone receptor interaction, enzyme substrate interaction, and interaction between tag proteins like polyhistidine proteins with nickel. Now, some of these interactions are natural interactions like antigen-antibody or enzyme-substrate reactions, and some of these interactions are induced like interactions between tag proteins and nickel, because tag proteins are basically recombinant proteins which are engineered in a way to attach this tag to the recombinant protein. So that's why these interactions are induced. Now let's look at the mechanism of affinity chromatography. Now as I told you, the stationary phase is made up of matrix of agarose to which or polyacrylamide to which your ligand is covalently bound, and it is basically present in the column in the form of a packed bed. Now the ligands must be present in such a way that the reactive groups which are required to bind to your protein of interest should be properly exposed. So your sample, which consists of your protein of interest, so your biomolecule of interest and other proteins, when they run through the column, the molecule of interest or the protein which has the binding site for these ligands will bind to the ligands, and rest of the molecules present in your sample will leave the column through the void volume, and these bound proteins can later on be eluted or separated. Now let's look at the steps involved in affinity chromatography. Now all the affinity chromatography can be done manually or semi-automatically or automatically. Now the steps of affinity chromatography in semi-automatic and automatic methods, they can be basically controlled and they can be observed using a laptop or a computer, because the column in case of semi-automatic or automatic chromatography is attached to a detector, and the data is basically run through a computer, and the data is converted into a graph. So from the graph you can monitor all your steps in affinity chromatography. So let's look at the correlation between your steps and the graph. Now the first step in affinity chromatography is equilibration. Now during equilibration, a binding buffer or a start buffer is used and it is run through the column. Now this binding buffer basically it fills the pores which are present in the matrix, and it also fills the void spaces in your column. So during the equilibration step, you'll get a straight line because no molecules are coming out of the column. Now, the next step after equilibration is sample application. So your sample could be a crude mixture of proteins, which is then run through the column, and now your sample basically consists of your protein of interest and other biomolecules. So the protein of interest, which has binding affinity for these ligands, will bind to the ligands, and rest of the molecules which are unbound will leave the column. So this area in the graph represent the unbound proteins or molecules. Now once your sample application is done, next step is the wash step. Now this step is done to remove any unbound material which is still present in the column. Now you repeat the wash step several times, and you repeat the wash step till you get a straight line, which means no further molecules are coming out of your column. So this region, basically it represents the wash step. And this one is the equilibration. Now once the wash step is done, the next step is elution of your protein of interest. Now elution can be done using non-specific methods like change in pH or change in ionic strength, and also it can be done using specific methods like providing a competitive molecule. Now the competitive molecule basically can have affinity for either your ligand or your molecule of interest. So let's talk about the change in pH. Now in this kind of elution method, usually a low pH is used. So a decrease in pH is used for elution, and the decrease in pH is generally used in a gradient method. So you can either use a linear method or a step gradient method, and step gradient method is generally used. Now if you're using this a change in pH for elution, you have to make sure that at the end you're collecting your protein of interest in a neutralization buffer. Now a change in pH basically alters the degree of ionization of your molecule of interest or the ligand, and this may have a direct effect on the binding site, which result in the reduction of the affinity of ligand for the protein of interest, or it may have an indirect effect on the binding site, which might be a result of the change in conformation of the protein. Now the next method of elution is ionic strength. Now, in this method you basically increase the ionic strength, and this method will depend on different proteins and different interactions between the protein and the ligand. Now the next one is the specific method, which is done by you basically provide a competitive molecule in the elution buffer, and this molecule may have better affinity either with your ligand or your protein of interest. And examples are like during the purification of histidine tagged proteins, you provide imidazole in the buffer. Now this has a higher affinity for nickel as compared to his tagged proteins. And another example is GST, which is glutathione S transferase. Now in this case, for elution, you use glutathione, which has higher affinity for GST because it is free as compared to the ligand, which consists of bound or immobilized glutathione. So these are the three methods which are used for elution. Now during elution, you basically see when you start applying the elution buffer in your column, you see as you increase the concentration of your elution buffer, or as you decrease the pH or increase the ionic strength of your buffer, or you increase the concentration of the competitive molecule that you're providing, you'll see a spike in graph. Now as soon as you see the spike in graph, this means that the eluting part, the fraction, consists of your molecule of interest. So you collect that fraction, and that fraction is then later subjected to further analysis like SGS page to monitor the purity of your molecule of interest. Now once the elution is done, the next step is regeneration, which is again done using a wash buffer, and this is done to remove any unbound protein of interest still present in the column. So you repeat this step again till you receive a straight line. Now this step is basically done to regenerate your column, or so that your column is ready for another round of affinity chromatography. Now affinity chromatography can be used as the only step during a purification method because it provides very high purity for up to around 95%. However, if you require a purity level of more than 95%, like 95 to 99%, affinity chromatography can be used as the first step, as the capture step, and it can be followed by another polishing step like size exclusion chromatography. Now, two of the major industrial applications of affinity chromatography are tagged protein purification and antibody purification, which are used in both small scale and large scale. Now, tagged proteins are the recombinant proteins that have been engineered in a way to include a specific peptide, which is known as the tag. Now, most common tag which is used in recombinant protein is polyhistidine tag, like 3-histidine tag or 6-histidine tag. And an example of polyhistidine tagged protein is his GFP, which is green fluorescent protein, which is produced in E. coli. Now, polyhistidine has a great affinity for nickel ions and other metal ions. So, ligands containing nickel ions are used as the ligands for binding to his tagged proteins. Now, in case of his tag purification, elution is done using the selective method in which a competitive biomolecule is provided which has an affinity for either the ligand or the protein of interest. In this case, imidazole, which has a greater affinity for nickel as compared to his tag protein, is used for elution. Now, another important factor is that your recombinant protein must have a recognition sequence for protease, which can be used to remove the tags. Now, most common protease which is used for removal of tag is thrombin, and the tag removal can be done either in the column or after elution. Now, another example of tag protein is glutathione S transferase. Now, in case of GST tagged proteins, ligand is glutathione and elution is also done using glutathione because GST has higher affinity for free glutathione as compared to the immobilized glutathione. And another examples of tags which can be used for recombinant protein purifications are MBP, which is maltose binding protein, and flag tags. Now, once the tagged recombinant proteins have been purified, desalting and buffer exchange is required. Now, buffer exchange is required because the elution has been done in elution buffer. So, the buffer exchange, the elution buffer has to be replaced by a better buffer for storage and further analysis. And desalting is done for the removal of salts and other impurities like nucleotides and peptides. Now, desalting and buffer exchange can be done by different methods like size exclusion chromatography, dialysis, ultrafiltration. Now, another application of affinity chromatography is antibody purification, and in antibody purification, polyclonal antibodies, monoclonal antibodies, and antibody fragments can be purified using affinity chromatography. Now, choice of ligands can be an antigen, which has affinity for the antibody you are trying to purify, or protein G, A, and L can be used as the ligands. Now, protein G and A have higher affinity and selectivity, specificity for IgG antibody, and protein L has higher affinity for kappa-like chains. Now, elution in case of antibody purification is done by a change in pH, and usually a decrease in pH with either a linear or step gradient method is used. Now, during antibody purification method by affinity chromatography, up to 95% of purity is obtained. But some antibodies require further purification for up to 98%. So, in these cases, affinity chromatography is then followed by size exclusion chromatography for further polishing and for removal of monomers from their aggregates. Now, before we end this video, let's talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of affinity chromatography. Now, among the advantages is high selectivity and resolution. So in case of affinity chromatography, because specific binding interactions are used between biomolecules, so it provides high selectivity and resolution. Next is single step purification. So in applications where very high purity is not required, like 98% purity is not required, affinity chromatography can be used as a single step purification method. Now, affinity chromatography provides very high purity like 90 to 95%, and if followed by another step like size exclusion chromatography, the purity can be extended to 98%. Now, in affinity chromatography, you can use a very large sample size, and the matrix which is used in affinity chromatography can be reused. Now, some of the disadvantages of affinity chromatography is that the immobilized ligand which are used in affinity chromatography, they are very costly. So the high cost of immobilized ligand is one of the disadvantage. And another disadvantage is that if the pH has to be maintained properly, because if the pH is fluctuated, then your protein of interest, your biomolecule of interest might lose its activity. So that's all in this video. I'll see you in the next video. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon for latest updates. Thank you.